It's an important day for the cash-strapped Indian Airlines Jet Airways today. A top-level meeting will decide whether the airlines would shut shop or not. Management will also request lenders to release emergency fund of 1,500 crore rupees. A refusal or even delay in releasing the interim fund would mean immediate and total grounding of the airline. The SBI would also announce the names of bidders who have shown interest in buying stakes in the Jet Airways. Sudan's military council has removed defense minister from his role and appointed a new intelligence chief. Meanwhile, Sudan's main protest group demanded the immediate handover of power to a civilian transitional government. The protesters said that they would keep up the street demonstrations unless there is a civilian head of state. Sudan's military council said that they have decided to disperse the sit-in by force at any cost. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo landed in Colombia's Cucuta, where he met with Colombian President Iván Duque. The meet was a part of Pompeo's tour aimed at shoring up regional support for President Donald Trump's hardline stance against Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Pompeo and Duque visited a migrant shelter hosting Venezuelans who have fled hunger and violence in their homeland. The two also toured a facility where international aid has been stockpiled for delivery to Venezuela. Colombia is Pompeo's fourth leg of a Latin American tour that has already been, in fact, taken him to Chile, Paraguay and Peru. An airstrike killed Abdi Hakim Dukub, who was the deputy leader of the Islamic State group in Somalia's semi-autonomous Puntland region. A witness said that a vehicle was hit by several missiles by 3 kilometers outside a village in the Kandala Hills at 1 p.m. local time. According to the UN, Dukub helped in fact set up the first cell of the Al-Ittihad Al-Islamiyah. The group is an ideological predecessor to Al-Shabaab, which has been fighting the Somali national government for over a decade. Dukub later defected to the Islamic State. Syria's President Bashar al-Assad held a meeting with Iraq's top security officials in Damascus. According to local media, Assad's meeting with Iraq's national security advisor Faleh al-Fayyad focused on regional and bilateral issues. Syrian ambassador to Iraq Satam al-Danda was also present in the meeting. The meeting comes one day after the UN Special Envoy to Syria arrived in Damascus for a fresh round of talks. The new round of Syrian talks will take place in Kazakhstan's capital on April 25th to April 26th. The Ukrainian armed forces held air defense drills in the country's eastern region near the Sea of Azov. Jets and helicopters participated in the exercise that was organized amid rising tensions with Russia. The former Soviet Union nation is also set to build a military base in the Azov region. Remember, last year, the Kerch Strait that connects the Sea of Azov with the Black Sea became the flashpoint of a naval dispute between Moscow and Kiev. Hundreds of supporters of Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko flocked to a stadium in Kiev after opposition candidate and comedian Zelensky failed to attend a debate. He accepted the challenge to take part in the policy debate earlier this month, but the two politicians could not agree on the date. Zelensky has insisted the debate should be held on April 9th. Poroshenko arrived at the National Sports Complex in Kiev and hosted a news conference. Poroshenko will face him in an election runoff on April 21st. U.S. Senator and 2020 presidential hopeful Kamala Harris has released 15 years of tax filings. This comes as pressure mounts on President Donald Trump to declare his tax returns. Harris's income revelation also comes at a time when her fellow Democrat and presidential hopeful Bernie Sanders announced that he was a millionaire. However, Sanders has vowed to make his tax returns public on April 15, which is tax day in the U.S. U.S. Representative Eric Swalwell officially announced that he would seek the Democratic nomination for president. In fact, Swalwell is a third-time congressman from a California district south of San Francisco. Swalwell grew up in Iowa and California. He attended Campbell University in North Carolina on a soccer scholarship for 2 years before transferring to the University of Maryland, where he earned his bachelor's in law degrees. Swalwell said that tackling student debt and gun violence were among the reasons he jumped into the Democratic primary race. 38-year-old Swalwell is now among the youngest candidates vying for the 2020 Democratic nomination. In Ethiopia, Ivanka Trump toured businesses run by women while promoting a White House Global Economic Program for women. President Donald Trump's daughter and senior advisor visited a coffee shop where she took part in traditional coffee ceremony. She also visited a textile company in Addis Ababa. It was her first stop in Africa on a 4-day trip to Ethiopia and Ivory Coast on behalf of a White House project intended to boost 50 million women in developing countries by 2025. This also happens to be Ivanka Trump's first visit to Africa since the president launched the Women's Global Development and Prosperity Initiative. Father of the WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has asked for his son to be allowed to return to his home country, Australia. He has urged the Australian government to intervene on behalf of Julian Assange. Assange remains in the custody of UK police in London after he was arrested from the Ecuadorian embassy on Thursday. At least 2 people have been killed and 5 injured as a small plane crashed near Mount Everest in Nepal. The plane crashed into a parked helicopter during takeoff at the Tenzing Hillary Airport. The airfield is considered the world's most dangerous due to its high altitude and short runway. A tornado touched down and in fact spun toward Georgia's Enigma town after 17 twisters were reported over the weekend across the southern U.S. According to authorities, more than 100 million people in the U.S. are at risk of extreme weather. Warnings of heavy thunderstorm and another round of tornadoes have already been issued. Nearly 6,000 U.S. flights were cancelled or delayed, with most of the trouble at airports in Chicago, Dallas and Charlotte, North Carolina. Brazil's Sao Paulo saw some really creative cars over the weekend. The city streets were flooded with innovative motorless cars which took part in the Crazy Cars obstacle race. The cars were designed with themes like Egyptian mummies, a takeout food container, an inflatable unicorn and a tire filled with dengue-carrying mosquitoes. Only 70 cars have made it to the final leg of the race based on the creativity. Pope Francis marked Palm Sunday Mass in St. Peter's Square, which was filled with thousands of his followers sprinkling holy water. Francis blessed palm, in fact, and olive branches clutched by pilgrims, tourists and Romans. After the blessing, the Pope joined a procession to an open-air altar to celebrate Mass. Palm Sunday ushers in Holy Week, which includes the Way of the Cross procession at the Colosseum to commemorate Jesus' death by crucifixion. Several ceremonies culminate in joy celebration on Easter Sunday as Christians celebrate their belief that Jesus rose from the dead. Palm Sunday was also observed across the world. In fact, in Belarus, hundreds of Catholics carried a large wooden cross from the Church of Archangel Michael to a sacred hill. Outdoor procession took place in the town of Oshymiany, which is some 140 kilometers northwest of Minsk. Procession ended on the outskirts of the town, where decorated crosses were erected by worshippers. Madrid celebrated Palm Sunday with an annual religious procession through the center of the city. Hundreds of worshippers and spectators gathered outside the city's Almudena Cathedral to watch the figure of Christ on the donkey being carried. Also in the procession were the peculiar figures of the Nazarenos, members of the Brotherhood that addressed all in white spectators. Also have in fact applauded the procession as it carefully came down the slope of Cathedral's side entrance. Cathedral's bells pealed in honor of the procession. The English cathedral city of Salisbury was named as Britain's best place to live by the Sunday Times newspaper. The British Daily said that it looked at statistics like crime, schools and property prices and in fact reaching its judgment. The award was also based on less easily measured factors like scenery, culture and community spirit. Salisbury was the location of a deadly nerve agent poisoning blamed on Russia, and the award comes just a little over the incident. Salisbury is known for its medieval cathedral, friendly atmosphere, good rail links and the high-speed broadband connections. A giant panda is set to leave its base in southwest China's Sichuan province and embark on its journey to Austria as part of a research project between the two countries. 20-year-old Yuan has been quarantined at the Xinshuping base of the Wolong National Nature Reserve for a month. Yuan's breeder say the giant, bear is naughty but timid and loves to nap. Yuan will be joining another panda, Yang, which already lives in Vienna, and they will return to China together 4 years later. Havana's 13th biennial kicked off this weekend. Works by more than 300 contemporary artists from 52 countries took over the city's museums, galleries and open-air spaces. The seafront boulevard has been transformed into an open-air interactive gallery and has become one of the most popular venues of Cuba's most important arts event. The Havana Biennial was created in 1984 to promote artists from the developing world. In springtime in China, the colorful terraced field in southwest province of China looks resplendent with a variety of flowers and nursery-grown plants. The flower field is not just a beautiful scenery but a golden farmland for the farmers, as the flowers and seedlings are often sold to neighboring provinces as a source of income. Egypt has unveiled a 5th dynasty tomb of senior official. The tomb, unearthed in the southern part of the capital, is made of white limestone bricks. It's adorned with colorful reliefs and well-preserved inscriptions. In recent years, Egypt has sought to promote archaeological discoveries in a bid to revive its tourism that took a hit from the turmoil that followed the 2011 uprising. Competitive sled dog races have begun across the Arctic tundra. A group of amateur sledders and dogs accompanied by guides set off on the annual polar expedition on the 8th of April. Dog sledding in Alaska is the most popular shore excursion. The event that started in 2012 has attracted applications from over 2,000 people from 92 countries this year alone. Sikhs around the world celebrated the annual Turban Day. The day is celebrated to spread awareness about the Sikh community and to promote its culture and identity. This year, the day also marked the 550th birth anniversary of Guru Nanak Dev and the festival of Vaishakhi. New York's Times Square was filled with Sikhs donning colorful turbans as they gave a taste of their culture to thousands of New Yorkers and tourists.